should you do that, but Nehemiah tells us that the joy of the Lord is my strength. And I don't know about you, but there's nothing like having the joy of the Lord.
Yes.
Psalm says, this joy that I have, the world didn't give it to me. The world can't take it away. So I'm just going to be joyful in the Lord.
Amen.
I don't know if I'm surprising you. I'm happy to be here today.
Amen. Amen.
I'm happy to be delivering the word because
Amen.
I get an opportunity always to be hired by the Lord.
Amen.
And so whenever I get the call to do his work, I'm happy to be here.
Amen.
Is that all right with you?
That's all right.
Not only should we have this joyful attitude, but whenever you have some need, whether major or minor, make sure it's met with the right attitude toward authority. It is said that attitude affects your altitude and how high you'll go, and that's true. But attitude also affects your aptitude. That's how much you can bear, handle, and your ability to handle. So I'm asking someone, how do you know that, preacher? I'm glad you asked. Well, Scripture tells us in Proverbs 23:7, for as he thinketh in his heart, so is he.
Amen.
What that means is, however your attitude is about it, you'll be able to do whatever you think. If you think you can achieve it, you can. If you think you can't, then you won't. And so it says you got to have an attitude towards authority. He says, but I rejoiced in the Lord.
Amen.
Not only did he have an attitude towards authority that was good, it suggests, and this attitude, I should say, it permeates this passage. If we look throughout this whole passage speaks with great rejoicing. It speaks with an attitude like, you know what, no matter what I face, I'm going to survive.
Amen. Amen.
No matter how hard it is, I'm going to achieve and succeed.
Amen.
No matter what the difficulties are, I will do well. That's what Paul is writing in this passage. But he says, in order to have all of your needs met, he goes on and he says that now at the last of your care of me has flourished again. This is awakening your altruism. Can I deal with this word, flourish, again? It means to be revived.
Right.
Come here just a little bit. Let's look out the window. It's a picture of a blossoming tree. It's a picture of a blooming plant. And it's a picture of a budding tree that will provide nourishment, provision, and protection after a long, dormant winter.
Amen.
Tell your neighbor to wake up your giving. Tell your neighbor again to wake up your giving because you've been asleep in your giving.
Amen.
This suggests that we have to give in order to receive.
Amen.
Not only does it suggest that, but it says clearly and plainly in Luke 6:38, give and it shall be given.
Amen.
Good measure, pressed down and shaken together and running over shall men give unto your bosom. For the same measure that you mete out, it shall be measured to you again. Tell your neighbor to wake up their giving.
Wake up
because
and give.
God will give back to you and more.
Amen.
Just as often as you give, he will give it back to you.
Amen.
It goes on and it says, associate with my affliction. Verse 14 says, notwithstanding ye have well done that ye did communicate with my affliction. This phrase, communicate with my affliction, means not to talk with. It means not to say hello to. It means not to just say hi. But what it means is it means to partner or fellowship with. It literally means to participate with someone and lock arms in arms with them as they go through their journey. This is a picture of, it says that you communicate with my affliction, meaning that you associate with me and walk with me.
Amen.
Are you following me?
Amen.
Then it says, with my affliction. The word affliction means pressure. And it's a picture of a Roman Colosseum where individuals were being challenged and they were put under a big boulder or rock and then told to see how long they could suffer the pain of the rock's pressure on their body before it killed them. It suggests that we all are going through some pressure times. We all are going through some tough times. But Paul says here to the Philippian church that they partnered in his painful pressure, that they fellowshiped with his forceful frustration, and they associated with his affliction. I like this because Galatians 2 tells us to bear ye one another's burdens.
Right.
That's one word, burdens, baros. And so you fulfill the law of Christ. What it means is that we ought to step up and help someone carry the table if they can't carry the other end.
Amen.
Is that all right?
That's all right.
But then it goes on in 6 and 5, and it tells us every man ought to bear his own burden.
Right.
That's portion in the Greek. And this word is interesting because while you're trying to bear your own burden, the Bible tells us in Matthew 11 and 28 and 30 that Jesus says, you know what? If you can't handle your own burden, take my burden because my yoke is easy and my burden is light. It's the same word there. And he says, whenever you find yourself not being able to handle your own thing because you've been helping somebody else, I got some help for you myself.
Right. Amen.
I like when Jesus comes to my aid. Sometimes we have bills we can't handle.
Right.
But Jesus comes to our aid.
Yes, it does.
Sometimes we have problems we can't solve.
Yeah.
But Jesus comes to our aid.
Amen.
Sometimes we got situations we can't think through.
Yeah.
But Jesus continues to come to our aid. Is that all right?
That's all right.
Well, it goes on and it says that they aided him alone. In verse 15 of Philippians, it says, no church communicated with me as concerning giving and receiving, but ye only. Here, that word again, communicated, means partnered, fellowship, or associated with me. Stay there. Then he said, as concerning giving and receiving. Now let's go to an accounting class because that's where we find Paul with a ledger open in front of him. And Paul is sitting